Welcome to the Been There, Lost Fat podcast. Real education and advice from people who get it. We have been there, lost fat, and successfully helped many others in doing so. I'm Sarah Fuccinari, an integrative health practitioner, certified nutrition coach, and head coach of Team Fit With Me, here with both my partners in life and crime. Mark, what's up?
Good morning.
Hey, Jess. What's going on, guys? I feel like it's been a minute, but it hasn't.
It's been like 2 weeks.
Well,
That's the first one we've done with all three of us, though.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because we did Shay last time. Oh, wait, this is going to be great. I don't know why I thought we'd recorded together. Maybe it's because I talk to you guys all day, every day, all the time.
Well, this is the first.
Today we have a Q&A pod, and we're going to try to get through all the questions, but we got a lot of questions. But before we dive in there, let's just do a little recap of our week. Jess, what's been going on with you?
I've been getting settled into my new job and getting ready for school to start in a couple of weeks here. We are sending our first baby off to school for the first time, so that's, a big thing to wrap our heads around and getting him prepared. We're having to have everybody go to bed at a certain time. There's structure and routine. I don't know. So that's new.
Somehow we haven't talked about that.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. Right
Did
after Labor Day.
Did he get a Spider-Man lunchbox?
He has a Minecraft lunchbox, which has been adopted for his toys that he doesn't want his brother playing with. So I have a feeling that we'll be getting a new lunchbox soon. Could be Spider-Man. I don't know yet.
What was your favorite lunchbox?
Oh, I was all about Beauty and the Beast when I was in kindergarten.
Oh.
It was that year.
At least you're not a Disney adult.
I am not. I choose to keep my money.
I remember my brother had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lunchbox that I loved. I don't even think I used it, but I remember that one.
We definitely have a Ninja Turtles backpack.
Oh, perfect.
I might have had a Ninja Turtles lunchbox too. I can't remember. A long time ago.
My brother also had a race car bed, which was super cool.
I had a water bed.
Did you pop it? What's been going on with you this week, Mark?
I also have been settling into my new job and did a few surgeries this week and dealing with the oppressive heat here in Arizona.
I don't think anybody knows what you do aside from, cater to my every beck and call.
So neuromonitoring. So essentially I work in neurosurgery and I monitor the nerves during brain and spine surgeries. And just switched companies recently, and that's it.
No, stop tapping your foot. Oh. Mark's over here being a lightweight. Well, my week was a rough one. I was a depressy girl this week, but we're ending the week strong here, and I think this podcast is a perfect thing to perk us up. All right, so I'm going to pass the mic proverbially over to Mark to be our host and interviewer, and then we'll dive in. You got your questions ready?
Right. First questions. What are the different phases of working with a health coach? Comp phase, rest phase, reset, health, push, etc. When are these phases important?
So everybody's different. And Jess knows this very well, that whenever we onboard somebody, their plan's going to look completely different. It's never that there is this step-by-step process of this is what exactly everybody does. We might call ourselves the Fit With Me factory, but everybody's factory line looks a little bit different. So meeting somebody where they're at, I know that for our general client group that we're typically going to be meeting with women that are dieting for lots of years. Some have had weight loss surgery and done that very extreme diet. And most people have gotten to a place where their bodies are unresponsive. It's not uncommon for us to have clients that have been chronically under eating. And the first thing that we have to do is go through a metabolic building phase. We might have clients who have severe gut issues and that we need to first work on that so that their body will be responsive. It's pretty rare, and Jess, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we have somebody that comes to us that's never dieted before and that the simple answer is, oh, we just need to eat less and move more. I would love that. I mean, listen, actually that's a lie. I probably wouldn't do this if that was the situation. I like figuring out puzzles. But if the answer simply was eat less and move more of us probably would have figured it out. So there's a lot more to it. But then as we get more advanced, I think we do move into more phasing it out. But the first phase is always going to be foundation, and everybody's foundation is going to have some of the basic variables that we all need to have with our habits, our routine, our food quality, our meal timing. But what that's going to look like exactly is going to depend on the client. When it comes to dieting phases, I say phase for a reason. We're not just going to diet perpetually and indefinitely because Fooch agrees. Because if we do that, then you're going to find yourself right back to having a body that's not responsive and having a metabolism that's really down regulated. So yes, it's useful to have phases and different phases, and they serve everybody differently. But what phase we start with and the order we go with them varies greatly by client. Did I miss anything? Perfect. Question 1. Check that off.
Question number 2. What are some small ways to see changes?
I'll let Jess take that one.
I mean, I have been one that has moved away from the scale as a place to see changes. For me, some of the big changes that I pay attention to now are the way that my clothes are fitting, the way I feel in the morning when I get up. So making sure that I'm getting adequate rest and like stress management. How I'm staying hydrated, how the food that I'm eating is making me feel throughout the day. So a lot of times when I'm talking to clients and I'm onboarding them, they're like, there's no way I'm going to be able to eat 4 or 5 meals per day. But they start doing it. And like on that third day, I usually get a note from them saying, wow, I feel so much better. I have so much energy. It's so weird. I didn't know that I could feel this way. And so those are the kinds of changes that I like to really hone in on. Because the scale's kind of a bitch and I can't rely on her to, give me that dopamine that I need. She's not going to give me the dopamine that I need all the time. So I gotta find it elsewhere.
Fuck that bitch. I think some small changes that people can start with is just taking kind of inventory of where you're at right now and what your habits look like. I think that for a lot of us, we think that we're doing all of the right things. And maybe sometimes we are, but it's really rare that somebody's doing all the right things all the time, or else we probably wouldn't be talking to them. But I think that another part of that is that when we define all of the right things, we're thinking about being perfect. And something that Jess and I work really closely on is having, plan A is awesome, but also having backup plans, plans B through Z. We literally call our nutrition programming an A to Z style. Because I think that flexibility is so important. But if we were to start really, really basic, I would say focusing on eating around the same number of meals around the same time of day every day, making sure that you're staying hydrated, focusing on one ingredient, whole foods. I would say that 100% of people that come to us, no matter what their goal is, 100% of people do not eat enough protein, do not eat enough fiber, fruits and veggies, and most don't drink enough water. So if we start with those 3 things and put them into that schedule, that routine, then then we'll definitely see some change. And I would say that the changes are going to be bigger than the small changes, but those are small changes that you can make to see bigger changes. But always we talk about that your expectations need to align with your actions. And if you want to make small changes, then you need to have extra patience. But there's nothing wrong with that. I would argue that small changes are a better approach because then we're probably going to stick to it longer. And when we make those big changes, I think that's great too. But when we make those big changes, it's a lot harder to stick to it. So even if you do make the big change, which when most people sign up with a health coach, they are making a big change, to give yourself that grace and space to know that it's not always going to be perfect. And again, having those backup plans so that you can stay consistent.
The scale for me also is something that I have to stop looking at a scale because I've done a lot different training lately and I've actually put on weight, but I've put on a lot of muscle. So when I look at the scale, it's the same thing. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm up 10 pounds, but I don't look like I'm up 10 pounds. So that's one of the things that I've been doing. And I've been tracking my food more. Sarah helps me with that, obviously, and just trying to keep my diet more lean and mean.
Yeah, and sticking to those unprocessed foods is always it's the first step. Like when we start with anybody, we always have them track a couple of days of food so we can just see where they're at. It's not a judgment thing. It's just, hey, where are we starting here? And I think it's really eye-opening for the people that are doing the food tracking, but it also gives us that information to see That typically people are eating really unbalanced meals. Typically people are eating a lot of processed shit. Typically people are spending a fuck ton of money on ordering out and dining out, I should say ordering in and dining out, where that's something that's just such a small adjustment. And then it also frees up some cash flow for whatever you want to do. And if you want to hire a health coach, what do you got next?
All right. Food wise, can you build muscle by only counting calories and protein and letting fats and carbs fall wherever? How often should you take a maintenance break?
So the first part of that question is, can you recomp with just protein and calories?
Yeah.
So it depends on where you're starting. I mean, if you're a rookie, then I think that is a great place to start. If you're farther down the line, and it depends on how lean you are and what your goals are as well, then you're going to have to get a little bit more specific. And I'm sure everybody's heard the paper towel theory, but I'm going to go through it again. When you have a paper towel roll that's full, so somebody that has a lot of body fat to lose, when you're losing, let's say each sheet is a pound, then you're not going to notice that roll. And it's going to come off a little bit easier too. When you get down to the end of the paper towel roll and you don't have a whole lot of body fat to lose, you have to be a little bit more specific. You have to be really on it. And it's going to be a little bit harder to pull those sheets off as well. So I think it really depends on where you're at. But I think that if you're overwhelmed with tracking all of your macros to start, that calorie tracking, first thing, calories are always going to be king. But next important is going to be your protein. And so those are the two things that is a good place to start. But will it take you all the way through where you want to go? Depends on where you want to go. For me, at my phase of my journey, I wish that I could just do that, but it's just not a possibility. What was the second half of that question?
Second half of the question was, how often should you take a maintenance break?
I feel like my answer to all of these, can I have
Yep.
Bert?
Okay.
I feel like my answers to all of these questions is going to be, it depends. So as far as taking a break to go back up to your maintenance calories. So we talked before about cycling diets, and that part is so important so you don't have that adaptation. But when you're supposed to do it is different for everybody. And part of it, I think, is, yes, it's the science part and the metabolism part, but also it's the mindset part. If you're just flooring it in the fast lane the whole time, you're going to burn out. Your car's going to break down. So sometimes we have to take that break. And sometimes we're looking at our schedule. Sometimes we're just looking at the fact that we're fucking burnt out. Some people, you can diet for 12 weeks, but then know your recovery is going to be longer. Other people will diet, and this is typically where we land once we get that foundation solid with people, in that like 4 to 6 week range. And then we'll cycle like 4 on, 1 off, or 6 on, 2 off. And then, of course, at check-ins, we're assessing, if we need to extend that recovery period as well. And it's a good time to just get systems firing again. When we diet, it's also something to remember is that our biofeedback is going to start to fail. Your energy might start to go down. Your digestion might start to fail. Your hormones might get a little bit funky. You might just have a couple of those symptoms. Your stress is probably going to go up. Dieting as a byproduct is stressful to our bodies. So we can't just keep going and going, because you're just going to run out of fuel. So I think taking those diet breaks serve a couple different purposes. But I think that, I know for me, and I don't know how you guys have experienced it, but I know for me that I thought that I could just like gun it and then like have this shit be over with. And I didn't know that. And that's why I found myself with my coach eating 800 calories a day and my body just being like, fuck you.
For me, figuring out maintenance phase has been one of the greatest gifts that I've ever given myself. I love being able to find a rhythm where I've built in the habits that I need to just maintain, and then I can put my focus elsewhere. Because sometimes it needs to be with the kids. Sometimes it needs to be with whatever catastrophe is happening in the home. If I'm having to like rebuild a water heater or whatnot, I'm not going to have the space, the mental energy to really be focused in so hard on a dieting phase. So I think maintenance phase is a gift once
But
you
you should
find
also
that
mention
balance.
that in your maintenance phase that you're not like going into the fuck it bucket here.
No, no.
It's a totally different season. So what are some
Right.
of the things that like that are similar to when you're in a dieting phase that are that kind of mirror over into your maintenance phase?
So the meal structures still remain the same. Movement still remains the same. I'm still, making sure that I have, quality protein, making sure that I've got a fruit or vegetable with every meal, making sure I'm hitting fiber, making sure I'm keeping up on my water. I'm just being a little bit more fluid with, I'm not being as specific as I would be in a diet phase where I'm really trying to stick to a specific caloric and macro goal.
Mhm.
Give myself a little bit more of those A to Z backup plans um, to find what works. But I've already trained the house on, how a plate looks and how we build our meals, and so those kinds of things just happen without anybody having to really talk about it or think about it too much anymore. We have a set grocery list that we, order for delivery, and it pretty much is on rinse and repeat at this point in our house.
How cool is it that you just get to like go into autopilot?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a gift to be able to it's taken years and years. I'm coming up on my 10-year surgiversary here in September. So it's not something that it was just like easy and fast. It was something that I had to really learn and trial and error with.
Mhm.
But it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do we got next?
Next question. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting their wellness journey?
Jess?
Don't expect things to be perfect on day one. It's going to be messy to start, and it's going to be a learning experience, and it's going to be trial and error. So if you go into things waiting for it to be perfect, you'll never get started.
Ooh, that's really good. I think my piece of advice would be don't commit to not quitting because you're going to want to quit so many times and you're going to fuck up so many times. But as long as you don't quit, then you're not really fucking up. It's more of a learning experience. And I think that something that we always talk about, not that I think that, something that we always talk about is that this is all a learned skill. And that if you were going to learn any other skill, that it would come with a lot of practice, a lot of repetition, a lot of mistakes. And that comes along with the journey. They don't call it a journey for no reason. So I think that if I were to give somebody advice, it would be don't fucking quit, because you're gonna have to start all over again. It's not one of those things where like we quit and then we never try again. I've yet to meet somebody that like tries to diet once and that they're like, well, that's just not for me. You're setting yourself up for torture every time that you decide to quit. Is the truth. Do you have any advice?
Well, one of the parallels, one of the similarities, like about a year ago, I never used to work out legs, and Sarah used to always tell me like, you need to work out legs. And I just never started, or I do like one exercise, like one day, and I do like one day, and then I'd stop. I'm like, I hate doing legs, and it doesn't happen overnight. So finally, I got consistently doing legs, and now a year later, I've seen a massive difference. I've seen like a big difference, but it doesn't happen overnight. And that's one of the things that I had to put in my head is that just keep trying, keep doing it. And eventually it becomes a routine. And then you see these massive results, sometime later, whether it be a couple months or a year or whatever.
I need to do an intermission right here. So our bird Fooch is, I don't know if he's going through some hormonal thing or whatever. He's currently trying to chew the keys off of Mark's keyboard. But here's the best part is that he's chewing the same keys that he chewed. You can just put your hand here. Yeah. He's trying to chew off the same keys that he chewed off of my keyboard. He likes the up, down, right, left. Those were his keys of choice. And he just walked up to Mark's keyboard and went for the right one.
Yeah.
So he's also a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
He's trying to make it so I can't game.
What's our next question?
I can't read.
Oh no, the bird's on it. We're gonna have to take an intermission for me to get this bird off. He's become the most troublesome animal this week. Usually I give him so many compliments. All right, let's see if he'll be quiet.
Okay, this is a good one. What is your biggest motivation and why? What keeps you going on the hard days?
Okay, I'll start with that one. So, wait.
Okay, bye.
Holy shit, hold on.
Intermission. Again.
He just flew all the way down the hallway.
He flew all the way to Sarah's office.
All right, what's my biggest motivation? And we're back. Okay, so my biggest motivation was always really like, I look like I just had sex on that intermission or something. What is my biggest motivation? So I would say that my original, and I would loop this into like my why. My original was like so fucking surface and vain, and I was just like, I just want to look hot. Like I just want to be able to wear these clothes and like do these things. And I didn't even want to like tell people that that was my why because oh my god, that's so embarrassing. But over the years, as I've dug into it a little bit more, it's so much more than that. It's more about feeling confident about not going through the turmoil of going into your closet and or having to buy something new every single time that you have an event. It's being able to be in social situations and not feel insecure about myself. So a lot of it is for the confidence piece, and that's really what motivates me. It's still kind of vain, but I guess that's what it is.
Nothing wrong with that.
Jessica?
I originally went into the weight loss surgery path for fertility reasons and to get ahead of diabetes and these kinds of big disease categories that I saw other people in my family as they aged fall into. Um, I was like 25 or 26 when I started down the weight loss surgery path. So I was still fairly young and not really ready to have kids, but knew that I wanted to get ahead of things. And saw myself going down a path. I was 320 pounds, and that was not where I wanted to be. And I knew that I needed to get ahead of it. So tried a lot of things, failed at a lot of things, ended up going down the weight loss surgery path, um, which helped to get me further along. But that was a big motivation. These days, I think my motivations are simpler, and that I want to show my kids how to live a healthy, balanced life so that they don't ever have to be in that position.
Is that simpler though?
I mean, kind of. I mean, I guess it's the same motivation, just at a different stage. I don't want them to be at that crossroads. I don't want them to be 25 years old, over 300 pounds, and staring down at a bariatric surgeon's office, deciding if that's what they want to do for their future and whatnot. I want them to understand, what their plate should look like and how their foods make them feel, and the choices that we make day to day. That knowing that it's okay if they want to get chicken McNuggies sometimes, but the rest of the time we should be having more nutrient dense foods. We should be having colorful foods. They are the kids that pick off broccoli and eat it first off their plate. I don't know. I don't know. I got lucky with that one, but that's where we're at now, and I hope that it continues. I know that it has I know that school will add in a new factor of influence, and so hoping that we can continue on this path with those outside influences.
What are you gonna pack him for lunch? Are you gonna make like little shaped sandwiches?
Absolutely the fuck not.
No Lunchables.
No Lunchables. Actually, at his school district, they provide breakfast and lunch to all the students. So they bring in a selection of local, fresh, like fruits and veg that they can choose from, and balanced meals and stuff. So we're gonna try that out and see how that works. What kind of stuff that they offer. From looking at the menus, it's all plates that I would cook for him at home. So
Is he going to
we're gonna
public
see what
school?
that does. He is going to public school.
Wow, and they provide that. That's pretty cool.
Breakfast and lunch. And so every day they get off the bus, they go to their classrooms, they go through the breakfast line together. So they all sit in the classroom and eat breakfast together in the morning, and then they start their school day, and then they do the same thing for lunch.
I'm
Which
blown away.
I know, and I think that'll also help with getting him to eat, because he'll see all the other kids doing the same thing.
My mom was the lunch lady at my middle school and then transferred over to the high school when we were there. So all my friends would go down there and be like, "Hey, lunch lady."
I love it.
Everyone loved it. She was awesome.
So I guess they've moved beyond the square pizzas and the cosmic brownies.
Oh, I remember those.
Yes, it's a lot more focused on like balanced meals, making sure that there's at least one option of fresh fruit or veg at every meal, all of that. So I was like, I can subscribe to that. Okay.
That's super cool. What keeps you motivated?
Honestly, just feeling better. And also part of the confidence piece too. When I was young, I was very overweight, and I would get made fun of, and I would come home sometimes crying, and I felt horrible. and all my family members came together and, helped me lose about 30 pounds when I was like 12 years old. And everyone treated me, I was like completely different, like the way that I was treated. And I just felt much better, healthier. So that's mainly what keeps me going. And I love going to the gym. I know some people don't like it, but I throw my headphones on and go work out, and I just enjoy it, and I just feel better. That's my biggest motivation, I'd say.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that is as consistent at the gym as Mark. Like literally, he is crazy consistent. And when we first started dating, I like said to him, I was like, I'm never gonna you can't take me out to dinner because I gotta hit my macros. And that was before I understood how to do that. And I was like, I'm never gonna skip a gym session for you. And he was like, that's totally fine. We're gonna go to the gym together. What's our next one?
Next question. What's the most important lesson you've learned in life?
I'm gonna let you start with that, old man.
I need to think about that for a second.
Jess, you got one?
Important lesson. Be flexible. Life is going to inevitably be life, and it's going to throw wrenches in whatever your plans are. So, plans are great. And I often say, planning is the most underrated fat loss hack. But life is going to inevitably happen to everybody all the time. And plans are not always going to go 100% your way. So be flexible, have some backup plans, understand the why behind what you're doing. And then that will help you to be more flexible. If you're just doing something because somebody told you to and you don't really understand why, when a roadblock comes in your way, you're not going to be able to flex because you're not going to understand the purpose behind what you're doing. That's what I've got.
What do you have?
I think that one of my main lessons is that you can't always rely on yourself, and like to embrace like asking others to help if you need help. There's an old joke that like, guys will never ask for directions and will drive in circles for, all day before they'd ask someone for directions. So, you know, I've learned like earlier in life that, and to this day, that, sometimes you need to lean on others to help you when you're struggling with something.
Fuck you for that answer.
What?
No, only because it's been very true in our lives this year. Oh, my biggest lesson would probably be something that I'm not really good at, and that's patience and being able to put time behind things. I am a lot of things, but a patient woman is not one of them. And I can see its value and I know its value, but it's something I definitely have to work on, and that you two both coach me a whole heck of a lot on.
We live in that Amazon Prime world. Instant gratification.
I've always I feel like I've always been that way, but I think that it's been like my blessing and my curse, is that I'm a very right now kind of gal, but it's been more of a hindrance than a helper in the past couple of years, and so that's something that I'm definitely working on, but that's definitely important.
Next question.
Yeah.
Next question is, how do I read a food label? Is the serving size important?
I should just let Jess answer this. I wonder if we do it differently. So the way that I read a food label, it depends on like what I'm looking at, right? But it depends on what macro I'm trying to hit. So if I'm trying to hit something that's protein, then I'm obviously going to look at that protein. But the next thing I'm going to look at is fat, because it's a lot of times we can't hit our protein without going over on our fat. Another thing for like people first getting started, like obviously everybody wants to be focusing on primarily whole foods, but we will be bringing in some packaged foods as well. But with that is focusing on what macro you're after, and then how it kind of trickles down. And I think that if you're first starting with things that aren't super complicated, or what we call like hybrid foods that have all three macros in them, it's easier just as you're learning the nutritional value of things. But typically I'm like looking at ingredients, but and if I'm looking at protein, I'm just making sure I'm not going over on fat there. What do you do different, Jess? I'm sure it is different.
It is a little different. I look at fats first, because fats is often the limiting factor. I do the same thing when I'm looking at like a restaurant menu, like nutrition stuff, as I will go right down the fats column to see where things land, because that is going to be what makes or breaks a meal for most people. And I was talking to somebody earlier about one of the packaged meals that they like, and they're like, oh, it's under 500 calories, so it can't be that bad. I'm like, well, no, it's not bad, but it's going to be your entire day's worth of fats.
Mm-hmm.
for that one meal. And sure, it has, adequate protein, but it's almost double the grams of fat as protein. So it's probably not the best option. We could get you something that would be just as satisfying and just as fulfilling of a meal, and maybe a fourth of the fats if we just change a few things around.
What was the
So
item? What was the
it
item?
was it was a Jibidine breakfast bowl.
Mm, mm.
So eggs, potato, sausage, some onions and peppers. I think was in it. So it sounds pretty innocent when you break it down in that way, but because of the combination of the ingredients, probably the sausage, and I think it had probably cheese in there too,
Of course
and
it
they
did.
probably cook everything in oils, and so it added up to like 37 grams of protein. Which, if you have, if you're trying to hit, between 40 and 60 grams of protein a day, that's going to be a huge hit in one meal. That's
You mean
probably
fat?
not the most satisfying. Yeah,
You,
that's
you,
what I meant. Fat.
I'm
Yeah.
like 40 grams of protein a day.
No, fats. 40 to 60 grams of fats per day. So I will look at fats first. Yes, the serving size does matter. That is often something that you've seen probably the reels where they're like, I identify as a family of 4 according to my macaroni and cheese box,
Mhm.
um, stuff like that. So yeah, paying attention to what the serving size actually is also is going to be important. Um,
I
weighing your
only,
food.
I only look at serving size as like a frame of reference for volume more than anything.
Yeah,
But aside from that, like I'm just looking at the breakdown of macros of how I'm
sure.
going to fit it into my day. But I do think that we should touch on why we want to be mindful of fat sources, which is, as I said earlier, everybody that comes to me eats not enough protein, too much fat, not enough fruits and veg. And when it comes to fats, yes, we do want fats in our diet, and preferably healthy fats. Those are
Hmm.
going to help with our brain function. That's going to serve as digestive lube. There's a lot of good omegas that we're getting from fats, all of those things. But they're also so high calorie. And to give a frame of reference, what I mean by that is that 1 gram of fat is more than double the calories of 1 gram of protein and carbs, which are the same amount. So you can get so much more volume and more satiation by eating on the lower fat side than if you have but what if we said like 100 calories of oil is going to be what, about like 2 teaspoons, something
Yeah,
around there.
maybe. Yeah.
So think of 2 teaspoons, and then you can have probably 2 ounces of chicken breast in the same thing. So that's almost what, probably like 5 or 6 times the volume, and it's going to be more dense. It's going to make you feel more full. So it's not that we're like these like low fat, like crazy people, because we're not. But it's just that the foods that are provided to us by nature are really high fat. So getting into that balanced range, we have to be more mindful of those.
I also look at fats, and I look at servings per container also. So sometimes I'm like, oh, look at this, it's only 3 grams of fat, and I'm like, there's 70 servings in that. So like, and that kind of they do that on purpose to kind of be like, oh, look at, it's low fat. And I grew up in the era of all fats were demonized also, and because like when I lost my weight, that was, I don't know, in the late 80s or early 90s. Kind of aging myself
Was
right
I
now.
was I born yet?
Actually, I think you were born. No, yeah, you were born. I was like 12, so you're like 3. But it was all
I
like
think I
low
just
fat,
got
low
I
fat.
think I got my first Barbie dream house around then.
But everything was low fat, low fat. So when my mom helped me pack schools to take to pack lunches to take to school and things like that, it was all based on fat.
Well, and like we think about like why is our food groups demonized? And it's because if you eliminate something completely, you're probably going to decrease your calories and you're going to be in a caloric deficit. But there's plenty of reasons why you shouldn't just pull a food group or a macronutrient source. Our bodies are meant to be balanced. But when people always say that there's like magical thing, Jess and I are in the low carb era. Well, yeah, you're gonna lose a bunch of water in the beginning, because for 1 gram of carbs comes 3 grams of water. So that's why you see that big motivating scale drop. It's not fat. I'm really sorry to break it to you. Some of it might be fat. But as you go on, you're going to have other sorts of issues. You can cause yourself to be insulin resistant by not eating carbs. And obviously there's nuances to that and the type of carbohydrates you're consuming and all of those things. But to demonize any kind of food group, unless it makes you physically ill, is fucked up. Bottom line. And it's a really good way to fast track to an eating disorder, which I think in some version we've all had some kind of disordered eating as a result of the bullshit that's just shoveled down our throats. The low fat, low carb shit that is shoveled down our throats.
Like back in the day when they had the Olean chips, they're like, oh, they're low fat.
Mm.
They're gonna really make your stomach hurt for like 3 days.
Oh, were those the ones that had like anal leakage?
Yeah.
Those got pulled off the market pretty quick. But those are all gimmicked as like, look, you can eat these potato chips and it's low carbs and no fat. I'm like, okay.
I love when I look at a label that like the front of the box says like this is my favorite, high protein, and then you look at it and it's like 4 grams of protein.
It's funny because I'll go and then I'm like taking pictures of the labels and sending to Sarah and Jess like, look at these look awesome. And like, because they've taught me how to macro count so well that like now I'm like, look at the macros on these chicken breasts or fried chicken, like lightly redded things. And so that's a frequent occurrence nowadays.
Yeah, Mark gets really
Nerd.
Yeah, he gets excited about and it used to be
Logan too.
He used to be excited about eating the hot dog there, but now he's excited about the macros.
Yeah. Like those bare breaded chicken breasts, and they're like so low in calorie and fat compared to like if you were to fry chicken breasts. And so like I always have those on hand and I'm just like,
what are your other Costco finds that you're into?
I always go I like the chicken sausages, like the Adele's, or there'd be the apple ones, or the pineapple and bacon are the best ones. Those are like my frequent kind of like higher protein, lower fat type of things to eat.
What have you been getting at Costco?
It is the best place to get egg whites. So it comes in the big pack, but you can't find them for cheaper than you get them at Costco. So I usually get egg whites. The Amy Lou's breakfast sausages, I don't really love them, but my kids love them, and they've got great macros. So I always get a pack of those. They call them hot dogs, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, hot dogs, okay. I like some of the Dell Real Foods, some of their kind of like pre-made protein stuff, because protein is usually the hardest macro for anybody to get in, including myself. So if I can make it easier, if I can shortcut dinner, I like some of those options. Frozen, I usually get a bag of the frozen stir fry veg. So I can use that in a lot of different things. If I am going to only have fresh produce, things are going to go bad. So we do a lot of frozen because it's strong frozen.
We've been doing more frozen stuff too. I literally just have like a big giant thing of broccoli, big giant thing of green beans, and I'll just like, defrost a little bit of each and then like mix it in my meals. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Although I did buy some zucchini at Trader Joe's and I haven't had zucchini in a while and I forgot how much I love zucchini.
Zucchini is delicious.
Costco find is the collagen peptides. You can add that to almost anything and it doesn't alter the taste, and it adds like 20 grams of protein. So we do that. We add that to a lot of things that we make.
I've gotten a little bit over like flavored protein powders, the like fake sweet and the fake taste. Like it just has gotten to me. Oh, and it's probably because I've had it for like so many years. One thing to note is with collagen, here's always our disclaimer, is that it is not a complete protein. It does not have the amino acid profile to be a complete protein like a whey protein would. So it doesn't mean that you can't have it. I've had a lot of people ask me if they shouldn't count it towards their protein. Still count it towards your protein, but it shouldn't be the bulk of your protein. You should be getting most of your protein from animal sources. That's how you're going to have that complete profile. But if you have, a protein shake a day and you add in the collagen, I've got no beef with that.
Because you pair it with your beef.
It's a good segue into the next question. What are your favorite prepackaged items to have on hand?
Oh, fuck.
We covered a little bit of that. My favorite nowadays, it's kind of a newer item, but I love the, I leave the gym and I want to get some protein in me quick. And there's a nutrition store next door. I'll get like a bag of those protein chips, the Quest ones, and like an Ostrom bar or Ostrom, like little meat stick thing. And, it's about 250 calories and 30 grams of protein for that combination if I want to just get something quick. So I like to have them on hand or stop at the store real quick and get them after workout.
I feel like I'm going to be really boring. Like, I really like rice cakes. I really like canned chicken. Wait, did you see that I posted my stories the other day? We made those like TikTok chicken nugget things with the canned
Yeah.
chicken.
They're good.
They're so fucking good. I
Yep.
made them different batches for like his macros and mine. But I literally put like I didn't look at like a recipe for the ratios, so I just put like randomly what worked for me. And I'm like, I put those little turds on the baking sheet, and I'm looking at Mark. I was like, these are not going to be edible. This is like not. It's going to be like fucking baked chicken salad. This is not going to be okay. To the very end, I said that actually.
Yeah.
Even when they were cooked, I was like, I don't think.
I was saying they were good. She's like, I don't believe you.
Yeah. And it's rare that happens, but they were really, really good.
Mhm.
I'm
And super easy.
trying to think about my third thing. I mean, like egg whites. I feel like I don't eat that many things that are packaged. It's just not a thing. And that's
You
not
turned
to
me
say
on to that bar recently.
Oh yeah, but I won't have a protein bar every day. Protein bars are like a break glass in case of emergency situation. But those Alani
So good.
protein bars are really good, and they're like, I mean, it's like picking the smartest idiot, but they're like decent ingredients and macros. They do legitimately taste like a candy bar. So if you're trying to hit your macros and you need a candy bar fix, do it. But don't ever pretend like I told you to eat a protein bar every day.
No.
But
They are sometimes food.
But also like I definitely relied on more packaged food, more protein products, like those types of things earlier on in my journey, just because I was like adjusting my taste buds over and I was learning how to do everything. But I also like have a partner that is really into healthy living, and it definitely doesn't hurt to have a buddy. And we literally like we keep things pretty simple. We've been doing like a lot of like marinated meats and keeping that pretty easy. Those McCormick seasoning so there's another packaged food. The McCormick seasonings. We just make it with water and no oil and let it sit like overnight, and it's fucking delicious.
Beef jerky also is a great package item, especially for me working in surgery. Some of the surgery centers I work at don't have a cafeteria to eat, and I'll be there for hours with nothing to eat. So I'll just shove some beef jerky in my bag, and then in between surgeries, I can go in there and get some high protein, low fat, and it keeps me satiated throughout the day. If I can't go to like a restaurant or cafeteria or something in the middle.
I'm trying to think of what else we have in there. I'm like staring at the pantry. Oh, we always have cereal. That's a packaged thing. I always do a little cereal. There's some chocolate chips in there. That's probably
I like the rotisserie chicken.
Oh,
does that count?
Costco's.
I mean, I would count it. It's in a package.
It
comes in a bag from Costco now.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure: if you go to Costco and you don't get a chicken, like you should go to the mental institution immediately. All right, I think we beat that one to death. What do we got next?
All right. How can you track macros when you cook most things from scratch, i.e., not eating a lot of processed packaged foods?
I think that makes it so much easier. This person that was asking, I know who asked this. She was asking about like building recipes in an app. And I'm sure that you already told her how to do it. So, but in all food tracking apps, including Chronometer, which we use, you can add a recipe. So if you're making something where the ingredients aren't incorporated, you can log it as a recipe. And what's really cool about what Chronometer does, and I don't think anybody else does this, although we haven't looked at other food tracking apps in a long time, is that it calculates the weight. So you can do like typically. So when we used to use MyFitnessPal, we would say weigh the recipe, divide it by whatever. And then you could figure out your portion size. But what's really cool about Chronometer is that it does the calculation for you of the total weight of the recipe. So you can log it by how much you have. So you're not like married to a portion size. Maybe you want to have enjoy something differently. But I think that eating whole foods is easier to log, especially because you're going to have less of that hybrid macro stuff.
People that like to cook, I definitely encourage them to use the recipe builder in Chronometer. It makes meal prepping a lot easier when you're not having to make an individual portion and stuff repeatedly. You can make a big batch of something and then use it throughout the week, or feed your family at the same time without having to be like, oh, don't touch that. That's my special food that I've already tracked and weighed and whatnot. You can all eat out of the same pot. And yeah, the fact that it does the weight for you, it just makes it even easier.
And it's accurate. I've tried because I thought it was bullshit. And so I've verified it several times, and it really does. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great app.
Do we have anything else on that? I mean, I feel like that was not a difficult question. I think that's more of like a just finding your groove type of question. But I think it is easier to track whole foods. What else you got?
This one's very relevant to me.
Oh, shit.
Can one bad meal ruin your week's progress?
Oh, well, here's another. It depends. It depends on how much in the fucking bucket you're going here. And it also depends on how tight you are the rest of the week. So I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, I can't do this, or I can't have a cocktail, or I can't go out to dinner, and I used to feel that way too. But the truth is that if you're really on it most of the week and you have a like responsible freer meal, or a responsible untracked meal, I should say, then it won't make a huge difference. But if you're kind of on your game most of the week, and then you go and not even if you go full fuck bucket and you have that same meal, it's definitely going to hit you. And I find that people get so caught up in thinking that that this 80-20 rule is going to work. But it's so funny, Jess, this is probably years ago, you like did the math of what 80-20 actually looked like. And it was like, it's very far off from what people look at. So if you are completely on your game, like killing it all week, and you have one meal, not one day, one meal that's less nutritious, and you don't go crazy with it, you're not like chugging chocolate syrup or something crazy, then you're fine. And I think that for me, that even like increases my adherence a little bit, because like Mark and I like to go out to dinner on Friday nights, and that's not a meal that I track. And so I know that that's my like that's it's like my extra little push, but that I look forward to that meal all week. And if I do fall off my game during the week, then I'm going to have to track that meal. And that's a promise I made to myself. I committed to do this. Nobody's making me do this. And I think a lot of times that we put that feeling on ourselves of feeling like this is like, oh, such an obligation. Like, no, we're choosing to do this. And, this is something you chose to do. It's something you probably should do. But I find that it's more about finding like that balance and those ratios. And if you're going to be 90% or 85% all week long, then no, you probably can't have a free meal and make progress. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that you're.
If you ever see me go to Korean barbecue.
Oh no.
Yeah, Mark fucks around pretty hard sometimes.
That will do it.
I'm going to start doing what my old boss used to do to me, where he would go, next slide. Mark's just sitting there like waiting for me to say something.
If I have macros left, but I'm not hungry, should I still eat them?
Oh, look, it's another, it depends. So that it depends. So if you have some macros left and you are like force feeding and it's going to make you feel sick, no, don't do that. But then because I think that that's an unhealthy thing. But it usually is for a lack of planning, or a lack of using your strategies. So if you're not hungry, you can have a meal that is the size of a golf ball for the same amount of calories for a meal that is the size of a dinner plate. It's just depending on how strategic you are with it. And that's something that Jess works a lot with clients about. We have a lot of clients that have had weight loss surgery. We have a lot of clients that are on GLP-1s. We have a lot of clients that just don't have much of an appetite. And it doesn't mean that you should just undereat. But with that being said, if it's one day that you're just like, I just can't do this, then don't worry about it. And the next day, just make sure that you're planning better. But if you're finding that it's a chronic issue, then that's when I would start making some adjustments along the way. I think that we all have some days that we're not hungry, or that we're more hungry, or whatever it is. But learning those strategies definitely does help. And I'll let you expand on that, Jess.
Yeah, I think the word meal really messes with people when they're first starting out, because they're like, oh, I'm really just like, I'm kind of a snacker. I'm not really a meal person. And that's fine. We can make snack meals. So I try to get people away from getting caught up on the word meal. Because we can, like you said, we can have a meal be the size of a golf ball or the size of a dinner plate, and we can find stuff in between and make something work for whatever the person needs. I've got people that are, nurses that are working 12-hour shifts where they don't have access to things, and we're always getting flexible and concierge level service here, making plans for everybody's individual needs.
I think that covers it. Next slide.
Well, here's my favorite question. I'm sure y'all both agree. What are your top 5 kitchen gadgets / must-haves for meal prepping?
Yeah, this is good. Okay.
Because we have every kitchen gadget.
We should probably see if we all have the same things.
Yeah.
Because I bet we do. Well, Mark's the cook at our house, so go ahead, babe.
Well, I'll start. Ninja Creamy is a good one.
Wait, hold on. Let's make a new rule. We'll go one at a time, but you can't repeat what the other person said.
Yeah, that's good. So I'll start with Ninja Creamy. I like ice cream. Most of us like ice cream, and I like milkshakes, things like that. And you can just have a whole freezer full. We have like 6 to 8 different pints of things that we've blended, made. We have recipes on the wiki, or on the, what do you call it, the vault. So I'm always building new creamy recipes, and you can beef them up with tons of protein and make them really good. And I don't know, it's always good to have some creamies in there. And sometimes you get back from the gym and just throw it in, and there it is. It's ready to go.
Jess, what you got?
Air fryer.
Yes.
I use my air fryer every single day. It's been really helpful for getting, vegetables in. It's been helpful for, cooking meats and using less fats and oils and still getting the consistency that I like. I'll even cook a steak in the air fryer, which
Will you?
untraditional. I will.
Wait, I was gonna say our Ninja toaster oven thing, but is that the same?
That's the same thing. Same thing. Yeah.
You have the same one?
You sent it to me.
Oh, wow, I'm gonna really put myself out of this game. What else do we have? I mean, I don't know how many gadgets I use. We have that chopper thing.
I love the chopper.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use any of the kitchen gadgets because Martha's doing all this stuff. So I'm gonna submit my answer for the chopper thing.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Let's see. Well, piggybacking on the air fryer thing is the air fryer that has a pressure cooker in there, so you can do rice. We used to do like chicken adobo, which is awesome, and things like that. That works as an air fryer also, but that's a good gadget.
Yeah, that is. Jess?
Containers with lids that you can bake and microwave, so you can meal prep. I mean, it's just like glass meal prep.
Like the Pyrex?
Well, we have the Pyrex, but they have like a silicone rim on them.
I like the ones that are just glass for the bottom, and then the lids have all the plastic and whatever, so that you can.
Okay, so that's what we have.
So you can do like your egg bakes or prep. I don't know, whatever kind of individualized meal, and then you can easily meal prep whatever. Pop a lid on it, stick it in the fridge.
What else do we have? Wait, hold on. It's my turn.
Oh, that's right.
We're sitting in the kitchen right now, and I'm just like looking. I wish I could open some. Oh, you know what I really like? I have like a double-decker veggie steamer, and it seems like a really stupid kitchen gadget. But when I'm meal prepping, it's great because you just throw things in there, and and you just set the timer on it. So that's an easy one, and that was super cheap. Amanda Valentine told us like she used to post that in her stories all the time, and I got one.
Well, I forgot my favorite. The Vitamix and NutriBullet. I love protein shakes, and those things come in handy. Just come back from the gym, throw a bunch of things in the bullet. Vitamix, if you're making a bigger batch, bullet if you don't want to like make too much, and just blend it all up, and it's awesome. Use it all the time.
I wonder how long it's going to take for us to exhaust this game.
This is a small one, but I like the ground meat chopper.
Oh yeah, that thing is good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not like a big expensive thing, but it does make making ground meats, and I do a lot of ground turkey, ground chicken, lean ground beef, so I do like that.
That's a good thing. We like our immersion blender thing. You don't use it that often, but it's nice to have, and it has like a whisk attachment on it. Although if I put the whisk attachment on the immersion blender, it will for sure. Did we get 5 things yet?
I think we're
well over 5.
Oh, okay. I was I was getting ready to go open the kitchen cabinets and just start spouting things because I know we have more. Mark and I, we have every kitchen gadget there is.
Yeah.
Oh no, you know what you also like? You like that dehydrator thing?
Yeah, I used to make beef. It takes a little bit of a process because you have to trim the fat and marinate it.
That's not what I'm talking about, but you do have one. The thing that sucks the air out.
Oh,
the vacuum sealer.
Yes. I have a friend that uses that on everything, every day. It's just if you open his fridge, it's all vacuum sealed stuff.
All right, next slide.
Next one, Favorite product or food find of the week?
Of the week. Oh, well, we got some of this was like kind of this is a good and a bad. Well, I think it's going to be good. We got some of those marinated chicken things from Trader Joe's, and usually I love them. So I grabbed them this week, and we had the
Sun-dried tomato.
Yeah, it was a sun-dried tomato one, and it was fucking disgusting. Like, if anybody's listening and you're considering that, don't stop considering it. But we do have
pollo asado.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's for dinner later today.
Let's keep finishing each other's sentences. Do you want to play that game? I'm trying to think if we had anything new. Oh, you know what I've been like? It's not this week, but I've been liking recently. Less recently, coconut water from Costco. More recently, I used to love them, but I just bought, or Mark just bought them, the Bai waters. For some reason, I thought they had sucralose in them, but I don't know if they switched it, but they're stevia, and I fucking love them. They have the blueberry one used to be my favorite, but the cherry one is really, really good. Do you have any favorite new things?
Like brand new this week? No, but the things I covered before, I'd say that those are relatively new. I didn't start getting those Quest chips until recently, and
same.
They're so good. I mean, you don't want to overeat them, but they're pretty small package, so you can like scratch that itch, the chip itch, and still get some protein in. So I'd say that's relatively newer that I started getting.
Anything
we
new?
use them for a topper on burrito bowls. So if I just want like a little crunch or whatever, I'll take the loaded taco one, and I'll just take. I don't know. We usually share between the four of us. We'll share one of those little bags, and just use it on that. So
yeah, I don't know why, but that just made me want to send Mark to Taco Bell to get that bowl.
The power bowl.
Yeah, maybe it's because I haven't eaten yet today. It's my own fault.
Oh,
You know what I also brought back into the mix is those the almond mozzarella style shreds. I haven't had those in a long time from Trader Joe's. Those are really good too. Okay. We can talk about food all day.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next slide.
Next question. Why is water important in weight loss?
I think water is important for a lot of things. Well, water is important for your general well-being, your skin, your hair, your nails, all of those things. It's also a key factor in digestion. So we know that that's important, but also when you're losing fat and that's being excreted from your kidneys and something else that I can't remember. But if you think about having like a fat cell, that fat cell is filled with fat. Fat comes out, it fills with water. So you want more of that flushing action. But anybody that drinks water to lose fat is really fucking mistaken. Like I mean, science does show that there's a slight metabolic change from being hydrated. But I wouldn't count on that as the thing for you to lose weight. And I think it's so weird when we know somebody that does like weight loss challenges, and literally one of her main things is drinking water. Like, yes, most people need to drink water, but let's not pretend that drinking water is going to be the main key of your fat loss journey, because it's just not. But it's important for a lot of other things, and making sure that your systems are functioning optimally. And in order for you to have an optimal fat loss journey, then you should get your systems up and running.
There's a reason why the Earth's 80% water.
We're 60% water.
Yeah.
I think we have to wrap it up soon. How many more questions do we have? Oh,
enough for a whole nother episode.
All right.
Perfect.
Should we part 2 this shit? So if anybody's listening and has more questions, we'll keep doing these. These are really fun ones to do. Just shoot us a slide in our DMs, or, shoot us a note. We'll post it in our Facebook group too. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Nope.
No, it was fun to pod with you guys for what I thought it was the second time, but apparently it was the first time. Thank you for listening to the Been There Lost Fat podcast. Our motto here is do it right, so you only have to do it once. If you're looking for personalized and customized programming to reach and sustain your health and fitness goals, check us out at teamfitwithme.com.